As we're looking at the S&P 500, it's a clear head and shoulders. We covered this on Friday. But as we're breaking down, we need to talk about the key bullet points of the next levels where we will be testing most likely within the next 2 to 3 days. Now, before I get into any of that, I have to ask you to consider doing two things: liking and subscribing. Every single day I'm going over the market, the key levels you need to know, and going over the fundamentals as well as the news aspects as well. So you know the key stocks that I'm liking and how to be looking at the market and to get educated on these bullet points as well. Let's get right into it. So as we look at S&P 500, I want to look about what happened first on the day. If we go into the 5-minute, just watching the intraday action, I'm actually going to open up the opens indicator so you can see. This represents where you opened up on the day, right at market open, a little bit of a dip, you popped back up. But if you look here, you really just trended. And I want to highlight the strength in which you trended today, because I believe that sometimes we can miss key things in the market. And today was a very eye-opening and kind of jarring day. When we look at volume and how we actually moved, it was not bad. You can go look at the daily volume. I believe average daily volume on SPY for the past 30 days is about 63 million, and it reached about that, if not more. But you were over 40 million in volume before midday. Before noon, you were already like at 40 million. So you were already 60% of the way of being at your 30-day average by this point right here. You can go back check this if you want. Thinkorswim gives you a really good way to back test it as well. But so you're getting that volume, and you could argue, you could argue that that volume was towards the sell side, and you're pushing down here and then pushing down here. You could say that. But what I want to go over is, if you're getting that volume towards the downside and you're not breaking down through the key levels, for instance, that 401 to 400 range we've been talking about, what does that mean? It means that buyers are showing up on the market. And this is not a bullish video. This is a reaction to what's happening on the day, so you can be prepared and you don't make slip ups, because today we had an opportunity to lose money. However, we didn't. So you get that price action towards the downside, you come back down, and then you eventually come up and fill the gap, and bulls just stop buying. If you go basically from noon all the way to the end of the day, the buying volume slowed greatly. What I want to do really quick is actually take you to Bookmap and show you what's happened here. And this was something I talked about in Discord throughout the day. You were pushing towards that upside. You really, after about 10 o'clock, it switched towards bullish buying, quote unquote. And you were kind of trending up, and you trended up on the ES few. This is ES features, which is the S&P 500, basically the Nasdaq 100 if you don't know. So you're moving up, you're slowly trending, and near the end of the day, obviously it's sharply drops and slows down, and obviously get that dip on the day. But I wanted to show you this so you can see really what's happening here. And as you come back in, you can see that you're getting that bounce, and then it just stops. The volume, it just comes, it's a dud. You can come in here, we'll just bring the volume up really quick so you can see. And as you can really get in here, I mean, really, if you look throughout the whole day, it looks so dead. I hate showing volume on TradingView because it is not accurate when it comes to indexes. I recommend using Thinkorswim. It's free to use, but when you're looking at volume, it's way better to look at, because this is totally misleading. But as you're getting in here, the volume again dies here and then slowly gets there by the end of the day. Now, what do I see happening? What do I want to cover? Why do I like this? Why am I still bearish here? Let's talk about it. One, as we go into the Nasdaq, this is what I want to talk about, and this is really where I spoke to Discord. I want to actually cover really quick before we go any further what I said and what I did in Discord today. So the only trade I took today was NVIDIA. I got the 155 puts, got around 260, ended up selling around 315. That was the trade there. Nothing else. That was it. Now, through this, what else happened? I basically gave a recap into the end of the day, and I went over overall thoughts. So you had your initial drop right here. Early in the morning, double top, come out 9 o'clock, then boom, you start dropping, right? Immediate, you start dropping, and volume stays decent throughout the day. And this is on a really crappy graph to show you the volume nonetheless. So you bottom out here, and then you come back up, retest, and then you make lower highs for the remainder of the day. Important to know. But you never get back above 12.6. Now, the fact that this is where you bounced shows me, in my opinion, I just still don't like this. You're still very weak. Now, where am I looking for us to get some love? Personally, for me, I was looking back at these previous highs that you made back in July 21st, essentially through the 27th, before you have that breakout. Why are these levels important? As you can zoom in here, you can see what happens. These are your highs. You get rejected, you flip, retest, boom. Therefore, that level right there is a major level for me personally. So going through about basically 12.7 through 12.65, that's where I was targeting and kind of talking about in Discord today. I was like, if we get to that level, I'll reopen some puts. But until then, it's just no reason right now. Now, you just continue to make and basically test that high of 12.6, getting rejected, and push back down into the day, a major sell-off. So going into this, I see weakness personally. What am I looking for specifically? Now, I talked about yesterday. I said working your way down here is what you expect. And when we come down here, we're looking for a touch of 12.2 to 12.25 on the higher end of this. But ultimately, that's what we're looking at. So going into tomorrow, that's my key level to test, 12.25 down to 12.15 roughly. And that's where I see us going. Personally, again, my opinion, do with that as you will. That's just my viewpoint here. Now, going into ES, what's happening here? ES is a little bit different. Now, I want to highlight where you're at because you're on a major level. As we get in here, you can see we were in a giant ascending wedge. You broke down out of this. And then where are you at now? You're right there at the 4,000 range. This is going to be a monster level. So this makes sense of where you're holding. And maybe Nasdaq is just sticking with ES and following it. Maybe ES is leading. It is possible. But I want to mention, what do we have going on here? In my opinion, it's a clear bear flag on the 4-hour, on daily, whatever you're using. It's flagging, in my opinion, for continuation towards that downside. From here, you get 39.20. That's your next big level. But I will say 4,000 is going to be a very important line in the sand because you get below this and it's looking tough. So what am I looking for now? I'm looking for a break on ES down to 39.20. Relating that to SPY, that would most likely push you down to roughly, I would say, 393, possibly 394, 395, this area right here, which was approximately your previous high that you had. So I would say about this range right here is where that's going to try to push you down to, maybe a little bit more steep, but that's where I'd be looking. It's also important to know you do have a daily gap as well down here as well. Very important to know. I'd be watching for that as well. So looking right now, you're in a big area. We know this is not going to be easy to get through, but once you break through 400, in my opinion, 394.2 up to around 395.5, that's my target, a continuation towards the downside. Again, I want to highlight, for me to flip back to a bullish scenario, what has to happen, what has to take place. I'm going to say right now, you're going to have to get above 12.8. Okay, it's just going to have to happen, and you can't. Right now, what we're seeing bulls try to keep you from dropping, but there's no follow through. You need the follow through if you're going to get any type of bounce, and you're not getting that right now. So on the market, again, I still remain very bearish. Now, going into VIX and some of these fundamentals, things going on here. VIX obviously gapping up, looking nice, and having a little bit of a dip. It looks like it wants to continue. You're above 24, above 25. It's looking like you're on the road back to 30 on VIX. I'm just going to tell you that right now. J and K, what happened here? I had a lot of people asking me about this as well in Discord. You've seen that monster drop. And if we go over the past few days, just really looking here, it's been just nonstop downside with the exception of the past roughly Thursday into Friday, going up and getting that bounce and ultimately dropping back down. VIX, you get below this 92.8 level. In my opinion, a 91.8 is your next key level. That's where I'd be watching. You can actually make a argument for the retest of this level up here, about 92.2. It's pretty important as well. So these are the next areas I'd be targeting here. But so far, all indicators still point to more downside. Bulls have not tried to take control yet. DXY, what's going on here? Today, you saw a little bit of slipping. I will say that. You saw a little bit going into the opening of the day. So you saw a downside overnight. Going into the opening right here, 9:30, 8:30, you bounced really strong and continue to make higher levels. This is bullish. This is continuation. This still looks good to me. I'm just going to tell you that right now. So overall, DXY still looks strong, and you're out of this bull flag that you were operating in, and you did make a higher high here. Important to know, really bullish still in my opinion. Going into the yields, I also want to highlight this. It's very important as we're seeing this dip now. We can go back to the inversion chart and look. Guess what? You're still making those levels. If you've been here for any time at all, I go over this often. You continue to hold the trend that you've really made since the middle of 2020 towards the upside on yields. This is the best chart to track inflation and to track if we're still in a bearish market. And this is holding up. This is showing your 10-year versus your 30-year. You're still at a 96% roughly right now. on track to get back above a full percent. That happens, it's a full inversion and one of the most bearish indicators on the market, and typically is a leading indicator before you get any type of drop. So I will say that it's looking pretty crazy as we speak right now, and it's looking like it's getting back up to those high ranges. So that's the overall fundamental, viewpoint of that. So going into this, I still remain bearish. Now, I want to go over some stocks that we looked at yesterday. I'm trying to make this pretty quick before we go too deep in anything. Now, and I'm going to cover Cheddar Flow at the end, so just bear with me. So NVIDIA, I'm going to go over this. I covered this chart yesterday, and you're playing it out to a T. So this was obviously one of my favorite stocks to trade on the day, and I ended up trading it towards the downside. So going on today, I want to highlight and I want to show you just a quick lesson of what I was looking at here. So this is the 9 EMA, and it's probably my favorite indicator if I had to pick anything at all. So looking at the 9 EMA, you're tracking down. You've been below it for some time on the 5-minute. And then what happened? 162 was our key level. You opened up below, you get a bounce, and look at all these wicks, right? So I want to highlight, when you have a key level and you're getting consistent wicks above it, this is the best entry signal you could have got. I'm going to tell you right now, I made a bonehead decision. I was intimidated and did not get in on time. So I made about 22% on my trade. I could have made over 60% if I would have just gotten in when I knew I should have, which was right here. Okay. So I will say that I'm not a perfect trader. It's important to know that you need to understand where your flaws are and trades that you miss and learn from them. So definitely right here, you're getting wicked below the 90 EMA and below your key level. That means sellers continue to push you down so you cannot get a breakout. What happens? You test key level number 1 at 160, you break below that level, and then you start pushing down to 157, which where was that? Remember we talked yesterday, people. What did we say? It's that gap fill. You came right to the edge of the gap right there. Absolutely beautiful. Perfect trade. This is what you asked for. We went over this yesterday. Congratulations if you traded it. AMD, it's looking very similar. It's more of a swing play in my opinion if you're looking here, but you're already on your track to 87. You're on your way down towards 84.9, roughly in this level right here. I'd be watching out for 85 roughly though. That's me. Now going into trades I'm looking for tomorrow. Tesla. This needs to be on everyone's chart. If you're not following on Twitter, I recommend doing so. I post all my levels so everyone can see those. Just if you're interested. Again, you can pay to be in Discord, but I still give you a ton of free tools. I try to give you as much free content as I possibly can, okay? As you're looking here, if Tesla breaks below 279, which is your low that you made right here, if you break this level, I will want you to know right now, you are extremely bearish. I cannot put enough emphasis on how bearish you will be. You will come down most likely pretty hard. And I want to highlight that it's probably going to be pretty brutal. I'd be targeting 260, possibly even lower, get that daily gap fill you have down here. It's worth mentioning. Yes, this is a daily gap level all the way down to here. That's a gap. You have a lot of downside pressure. So you get below 279 and you are cooking. Now, if we look at those Tesla levels as we zoom in on the day, look what happened. These are the same levels from yesterday. Go check them out. You had a double top. You got your opportunity in right here, 287, came back down. On the beginning of the day, you gapped down, bounced up. This told you right here, you come to the top of the level, rejected. Make a lower level here, reject it again. That was your trade. Congratulations. So what we're looking for here, it's important to know because you're chopping as we speak, right? So if we look at Nasdaq, you're just chopping in this range, back and forth, back and forth. We need some confirmation here, okay? We need to see a breakdown. And so far right now, we just need to wait and be patient because once you get below 279, it's a wrap. Bears will take control here. I'm just telling you, believe it, don't believe it, I don't care. Do what you got to do. This is not financial advice. You need to do your own DD, but I'm just trying to educate you guys based on these key levels on the chart because obviously they're working right now, right? Next up, I want to mention Netflix. In my opinion, we've been talking about Netflix quite a bit. You came all the way up to the top of this gap level and now you're pushing back down. And in my opinion, the chart's looking tough. It's looking like a complete head and shoulders as well. And if the stock market goes, where does your stock go? It goes with the stock market. I always tell people this. Your stock can look as bullish as possible, but if indexes start to drag you down, follow the indexes. And right now it's looking, you got your head, shoulder here. It's looking like you want to press down. Target number 1, I'm going to tell you right now, this is going to be a pretty big level to watch. All the way down to 213, 211. I'd be keeping your eyes open there. What would I be using as a signal for this going into the 15-minute chart? I want to see you make a new low and get and establish a low underneath this monthly level right here and the weekly. So I'd be looking for you to push down. I would wait for it, get a retest, and you're looking to short that down to 214 to 212. Absolutely gorgeous. Last but not least, Amazon. Same levels from yesterday. I do believe you have monster downside here. If you look what happened on the day, you gapped down to that level right there, bounced back up almost perfectly at 232 and came back down. You still look bearish here. I'm still waiting on this. What am I looking for specifically though? I was talking in Discord a lot about this. If we look at what's happened, where have you bounced? Let's be very clear about this. Your first bounce was right here. You came right here, you bounced up, you came back down. Okay. Second level, you bounced right here. We can track that. It's your last high right here. Again, I'm not making this up. First bounce, second bounce. One could argue that's where your third bounce would be. Exactly where there is. Guess what's not here? There's no liquidity, people. There's nothing. So once you start really falling here, it's going to just be a straight drop. So I want everyone to be prepared for that because these plays are setting up perfectly. Okay, so what do we like? We like Amazon, we like Tesla. Nvidia is already really getting there. These are my favorites right now. If I had to do any runners up, I love Netflix as well. It's another great play. Meta's also, I mean, you're already back down to your lows. Look at Meta. Meta is already back down at its lows from July and June. I'm not making this up. So you start breaking below these key levels of 154 over the next few days, you're going to see some blood, people. You're going to see a retest of those COVID lows, most likely down at 137. Keep these on your radar. I'm telling you right now, you heard it here first. You start breaking these key levels, it's going to be an absolute payday with these puts. Be patient. Wait for these trades to come to you. Wait for us to get the breakout to the downside. But make sure you have your eye on all these. Have your alert set because it is going to be payday very soon.